trying to get stretched out just like normal today after 11 hours of driving last night. And most of the time driving out at the end of the night, I was watching what really felt like my hometown, Los Angeles, and the videos, like the live videos of people rioting and protesting. And it's so dissatisfying in so many ways, and I'm just like, it rocks my world. And I try to think of like taking all the chaos that I was like, what the hell is that vitriol and that fear and that kinetic anger and focus on tension and opposition and shouting and like an ego. And it seems like youth, like that fire you have when you're 22, when you're 17, when you're 14, and you're pumping the Rage Against the Machine, and you want to hit the mosh pit, and you want to spray paint something, and you just want to say like, fuck everything. Oh yeah, it feels good. It feels really good. And then at some time, you realize there's a lot of things in life that do feel really good, that engage lots of different parts of our essence, our evolutionary makeup, our DNA that needs to be satisfied for the need to satisfy your full self and make everything the most activated. You don't want to leave anything abandoned, so you're curious about it. It has to be addressed. And that energy is like the unaddressed excitement. That's like the full plunge, the full, like, when you're very immature, plunge into fire, hatred, vitriol. And by immature, I don't mean everybody's young. I mean, you can gravitate towards that vibe and never leave it if you don't travel to other parts of the country much, other parts of the world much, or travel in your mind to other cultures much, to other histories much, to other possibilities much. If you live in this boiler cauldron of that type of energy that you first dove into, that you were good at when you were full of the Rage Against the Machine, vitriol and fire, whether that's for sports or whether that's for politics and expressing your anger about the man, you can dwell in something. And that's an uninformed and definitely not peaceful and definitely not historical in like a grander sense or higher in a spiritual sense. It's using a few things that are fear, ego. Some people are honestly just bored. There was this little dude that I picked up in the car probably almost a year ago, and he was a cool guy. I can't remember what kind of foreign accent he had. I think it was from the UK. And he was a really thankful, lucky guy. He kind of seemed like somebody who maybe used to be on drugs, but also not, because he had the ability to chill. But he'd definitely seen a lot of things in a lot of places. And he was on his way to be a security guard. Not guard, a security auditor of security guards and facility checker for like one of the space centers in Texas. I was like, what? You go to space centers and you audit the security guards? And he's like, yeah, I work in the security team, and we always just have to make sure that everybody's doing their job. And I said, how on earth did you get that job? That sounds so fun. You get to go into space centers all the time. He said, yeah, but Florida, Texas, California. I think he said California, but definitely Florida and Texas. And he said, I don't know, I'm so lucky to have it. And then you could tell he was like kind of leading towards like, I didn't have this life all the time. He's like, somebody like me, I'm lucky to even have like to be alive, like some of the stupid stuff I've done. And I was like, what on earth? What are you talking? Yeah, we've all done stupid stuff, and I guess we're all lucky to be alive. And he's like, well, you want to, all right, well, I'll tell you some of the stories since you asked. He's like, I mean, for a long time, me and my friends, we would just pay attention to anything that was popping off anywhere in the world, and we would just get there, and we would just join the chaos. We would just cause hell. I was like, you mean like loot, like so that you could get like TVs and stuff, like Riot? He goes, just everything, just the absolute chaos of it. It was just like a group. And I was like, almost like it's mountain biking. And he's like, I guess you could say that. And we would just do wild shit. And I said, please tell me you did parkour. And he said, we do like parkour incidentally. Incidentally, he mentioned that. I want to go back. That's where I can't remember much after that conversation. But I remember thinking, like, it seemed like a long period of time that some people just really like when things are popping off. And there's an element of that. And if you really want to think about what's more mature, don't glorify the people who are doing that, and look for ways to they're not, what they're protesting is that somebody's life is being destroyed. And then with a strain of terror, you're saying that the laws about citizenship in one country, the changes to those, or the new style of enforcement of those, is destroying the lives, like ending the lives of someone. And I think that's a little bit of an immature use of that extreme. Because what is it to like destroy a life? Is it to kill? Or is it to do something beyond which, being done, the person no longer has a point of existing, or cannot continue, or is certain to die? When there's this one guy I was just listening to as I was warming up, His name is Marcus Taylor, and I suggest you try him out. And anybody who stumbles upon somebody like a motivational speaker like Marcus Taylor, athlete, a competitive, anytime you want that competitive advantage of just yourself, not even competing to beat other people, but just, hey, there's other people on this path that you might be getting through something that feels like your life was destroyed. There are things that happen in the world. Some of those chaotic things that happen are caused by a million realities all swirling around together, and people, and maybe you had somebody close to you pass away. One of the most common ones in this world of like motivational encouragement, messaging, healing, is in fact that healing for having been like gone through a breakup or a divorce, a relationship that was ended like surprisingly and crushingly, because it feels like your life, like going back to your life, you're destroying the life. And it is this moment that people have actually said to somebody, you're destroying my life. And it is a horrible emotion. It is terror, it is fear. You're destroying my life. And then what you need to not think that anymore is like, oh my God, a lot of people's lives get destroyed in this way, if that is to destroy a life. And what that is the one of the possible occurrences when you take the billions and infinite trillions of realities and outcomes that could happen when you have the world, and all the people in it, and the experience and experiment of life, and knowing your place in it, making it your place. There's some degree of that. I want to make this my place. Everybody wants to know that they belong, and that nobody belongs more than they do. Connecting with that, where you belong just as much as anyone else, and everyone else belongs just as much as you. And balance, and finding a balance with that, and feeling present with it, and good about it, and thankful for it. That would be a sweet spot. And to return to there, even when you forget it by the end of the day and you're hurling a brick at a police car, to return to a point when you can look at those worldly, momentary realities throughout history, and your own history. Oh, that reminds me of when I slammed the bedroom door and I got in big trouble for it. And I thought, my dad is stupid, or my mom is dumb or something. And I got in trouble. That type of anger or tragedy, because at that time it was tragedy. And then some battle that somebody died in 800 BC in China, after one ruling class had been in power for 180 years or something. And then there were 60 years of war, and the people that died in that. When you think about all these realities and how emotional they are, and you realize that you were just giving a middle finger and throwing a brick off a bridge, and then you wake up and you're like, damn, I don't hear anything except like birds right now. I'm getting older. I don't want to, I really realize that I'm going to die at some point. Have this little soreness in my body or something. My life is going to change if I have to obey this new law, or if this law changes. But people's lives have been destroyed by infidelity, cheating, poverty, a divorce, a breakup, an injury. You can just be injured, and then your life is destroyed. You can't walk anymore. But like I was saying about the motivation, no, there's nothing that really can destroy you, although it will try, and you will wonder every single day yourself if your life is really being destroyed, and if that's valid. This thing that happened to me, is that valid, that I can give up and really be angry and really just commit to anger? Like, fuck this. My only way to make a stamp on this reality is to show how horrible this is. Because if my world is horrible, I want the world to be horrible. But if your world is good, explain how good it is, maybe, to yourself, and try to shed light on that. Sometimes, like, different biblical verses come out to me that I don't get the reason for, or they don't quite seem congruent with, hey, why are we... I don't quite get how that helps at all. And then it just applies later in life. Like, oh my God, I think this might be why Jesus said that. And this one line, and this is as I interpret not only Jesus, but almost all, like, really self-aware wisdom from art, like masterful art, like not some freak saying I'm an artist, but like somebody whose longevity and expertise has driven them to share a wisdom through their expertise, like that kind of art. Like I don't know, I can't think of anybody. Like a composer, like the people, like, you know, that have done it so long, like John Williams, like a classical composer. Or a master painter that knows the classics and the modern and chooses this arc of wisdom that they want to share, that type of thing. So when I think about the Bible, or wisdom of any kind for that matter, I think of it in a more, because I've been gnawing on it so long, when you get to that little moment when you're like, what is really worth sharing through time? like down through time. Not little things that change, but the things that don't change, meaning the truest parts of life, which is born, live, die. Those are like very true. Born, live, throw like eat, throw in reproduce, throw in those other things. Those apply across the board and will forever. So if you're really going to have wisdom, you're not going to instruct on the minutia of this is how to, I don't know, move a truck from one city to another in the best way, or this is how to do your eyelashes just so they catch the right shading or something. But it's like how to live that life, what to think about to live that life in the best way, because you're only going to get one of these, and what's going to give you the best one. And if you're smart, if you're wise, you'll realize like there's a reason for all of this writing and this saving. Somebody saved and preserved just this little bit, or this made it through somehow to your mind for some reason, because it's been there. And one of the things that stuck out at me, so that's like, it's not like, hey, you're bad if you do this, good if you do that. That's not the dogmatic thing that turns people off of religious text, teaching, religious idea of any kind. It's more like, you know what, there are parables which have to be broken down to symbolically see if they do help your life. It's not, this isn't going to help your life until you get it, until you've thought about it and it makes sense. So if it does make sense to you, forget it. But you might want to, if it's a parable, you might want to remember it, because it's some time, and it's short, and at some time it might help your life. And when I woke up today, and a little bit of last night when I was deliriously trying to get my way home after 9-10 hours of driving around and listening to this fear and anger and what I find to be manipulation. And what I can't tell is if it's like the leadership part of it is also fear and anger, or if it's just like, oh, I see what's going on and we can use that. I'm not sure about that. Anyway, politics out of it. The line that came up to me was like, I would hate to think that somebody's getting their life destroyed. And life can go on. You can find a great life after a detail that's unpleasant changes. And that is the encouragement. Unless that detail, are you saying that detail of life is like that detail about citizenship of a specific country, deportation, the process of immigration, those details changing, is that a dieable fight? Is that dying worthy of a fight? I don't think you could claim with reason that it is. It's like, no, different countries have different details about how you can apply for citizenship, get citizenship, what tax rate you have to pay, little things like that. And none of those are the same throughout every country, and none of those are the same within country to country. Like, they don't just last forever. Sometimes these things are changed. And the fact that one is changing or being abruptly applied differently I think that's one of those details that you just have to say, this really sucks. But I encourage myself to find a way that my life is not being destroyed. And that is a detail which I will overcome, and I'll have a new perspective. Like after a breakup, a divorce or something, a period of time when like some type of identity was attached, and just like a daily routine, a daily process. There's like, because that's really important too. Not just a self-identity thing, but the daily process. Sometimes it's like, fuck, there's so much to do. I used to do it in this life with this person or in this place. And that's what I used to do. And that even was challenging. That took a lot. That took organization. That took to-do lists. That took motivation to get all that done, even then in that. So now I'm wiping away my routine and my place and my person. Now I have to do all of that even in a more difficult way, in a new way. I'm going to have to stay strong and rebuild. And what comes through from that is going to be a whole new perspective. But I know what doesn't help is saying that I can't do it. Because there's a lot of things that are going to tell me I can't do it. And what I got to do is make sure I get back on my horse every day and say I can do it, or I must do it, or I would like to do it. And I would like to make it through. I would like to persevere. I would like to help. I would like to be in a place of strength and say I can get back to a place of strength. And if you liken that to countries, and that doesn't mean I will get to a place when I will hate the person that broke up with me, or I will hate the country that changed its laws, because I don't feel that was like one of the stages of either getting fired from a job or getting broken up with or divorce or something like that. No, you're not full circle strong if there's like now a hatred for your ex. You're still in a stage. You're full circle when you like, oh, I get it. I forgive. That's the way the world is. You're not, I am no better than you. We all have different little spinning circles in a million ways of chaos from our electrons and our DNA that drives the way we operate, the way we communicate. And there's so much potential that what happens, nobody's more at fault for than somebody else in most cases. And I definitely am no better than you. It was tough when it happens, of course. But now, new perspective. Interesting. I'm gonna be healthy. And you know what? I appreciate a lot of things about you. I appreciate a lot of things about America still. That will be mature. And if there's some way to like illustrate that in a way from somebody who's gone through it, that's helpful. But I think this thing that Jesus said was a way, it seems like a real stretch, but to me, it isn't. If you think about, all right, don't think about everything I'm saying as far as like when you're good, when you're bad, when you're right, when you're wrong. Think about it as like, does this help? stay in a peaceful, most learned and aware mindset of balance. And I think that that would be a little bug. When somebody asks him, Jesus, like, you're smart. We've listened to you say everything, something about even just watching you. You seem to be in more peace than anyone. Why does everybody want to talk to you? And is this real? Can I ask you a question that I'm unsettled about? And this seems to be like what people were doing to him. And I think somebody wrote it down when they were like, is there anything else? Is there anything else we want to ask him? Because we've never seen anybody we trust more than this guy. So let's make sure we ask him everything. And somebody, it seems like, put the question to him about, is it right that we have to pay Caesar a tax to him, and or give the king money? And Jesus said, whose name is on that money? And they said, the king. It's his picture. And then Jesus said, well, then why would you not just give the king what belongs to the king? And don't think about it anymore. Give God what belongs to God. And if the king is going to die, but God is the universe that does not, how do you help that thing the most and give that to God, to the universe? And so the specific line from like the King James old-fashioned version of that Bible was, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. It's like, that's the least thing that you should trouble yourself with. And this was not in America, this was somewhere else. But somebody had an issue with who they were paying money to, and it just didn't settle, it didn't feel right to them. So they're like, Jesus, should we? It just doesn't seem right that I fucking work for this money and I should pay it. Shouldn't we fight against Caesar? And because he's trying to take this money? It's like, that would be one way to go. If you really don't like giving the king money, the money that has his picture on it, one way to go would be to get on a bridge and throw rocks down on Caesar's soldiers and scream and shout, or just give to the king what is his, and then go back to finding peace. If somebody is literally trying to kill you, if somebody's depriving you of food, not just changing a law which requires you to possibly have to leave or file something and wait, or find a new way to do things because of the rule of the state, the law, the Caesar. It's not the wisdom that might help your life in this moment. It's just like, okay, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, give to God what is God's. Do the worldly thing, and then do the spiritual thing that are going to help your life the most. And now I need to remember this other book, because nobody should think about what's going on somewhere else as much as I have been for the past 24 hours. I'm going to focus on me, my life, my son. Speaking of which, he just texted. So, look at this tennis court. They just painted it. We're gonna have to move out really soon. We are being deported in terms of money. Not really. Well, we're deporting ourselves to find another place to live. But right before we're leaving, a month and a half before we're leaving, they're painting the tennis court finally. I've loved being out here on this tennis court, even when it was busted up and messed and jacked up, but now it's gonna be all beautiful. Anyway, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. Pizza, pizza.